Hey everybody, Fifth Horseman here, playing more Kerbal Space Program, and today we're finishing off, at least landing, hopefully, our Kethane base, I'm sorry, our Carbonite base, I am never going to not say that, on Moon. And we got a very simple ship here to bring Bill, Jeb, and Bob up to the station, and we're going to lift that off in 3, 2, 1, launch. Pretty simple ship. Jeb's at the helm, so we don't really expect any problems, which is a really weird thing to say. You'll notice that we are very low on fuel here, but that's the point of this ship, is to very economically get 3 Kerbals to low Kerbal orbit. Which we have just done. Oh, not quite. There we go. Apoapsis is at 80, periapsis is at 71. We have a massive 138 meters per second left. We are going to tilt their solar panels into the sun. And we are going to plan our maneuver with the Carbonite base now. You saw me do this last episode, so I'm not going to show it to you. What I am going to show you, though, is my fueler here. Oops, turned off the ambient light instead of turning it up. There we go. Is one of my 2 fuelers. I don't remember which one this is. This is the one with the ion booster here. He also has a very little amount of fuel, but that's exactly what we want. I've set up a close approach alarm. In 3 minutes, we're going to get to that alarm. None of our solar panels are in the sun, and we are out of electric charge. Oi! This ship is essentially dead in the water. We can bring a Kerbal out here and bump this thing. Let's actually, you know what? Let's try something here. Yeah, this guy has a very small amount of fuel. He has a decent amount of delta V, though. So what we can do here is set him as a target, and we can rendezvous with him. This is going to screw up everything else I've done, but I think it's worth it. So what we want to do is we're going 90-some meters per second. There he is. So we're going to burn here so that I'm getting this aimed at that, basically. Okay, he's a couple 100 meters away here. And not too bad. Not too bad at all. Okay, we're basically stopped. Now, what we need to do is we need to aim ourselves at our target here. And we are going to bump the white part of the fuel tank. Solving problems. That's what we do here in Kerbal Space Center. I'm actually going to rotate. Yeah, see, the act of rotating over like this changes what the game thinks is going to happen, which is kind of crazy. But all we got to do is tap it. Love tap it. There we go. We have bumped it. Now it needs to dock with one of these, which means we're gonna actually aim us north now. Now that we have love tapped it, though, it should have an electric charge now. It does. Okay. Now just never aim away from the sun. And I think we're just going to set this as our target. We're going to control from here. We don't need any more fuel, and we're fine with monoprop. So we are going to disconnect. Actually... Yeah, see, this was designed to disconnect this thing, but if we do that, then it's going to be stuck up here in orbit. So, we are going to... let's actually get into chase mode here, so that I know which direction we're going here. Go up. Yeah, here we go. This actually might be a good idea to turn all this stuff off. So we want to get ourselves aimed at this. And then now we're heading towards it. I'm pointing at the screen. We're heading towards it, and we're pushing it over towards us this way. So as we come in, we're going to dock with it. This is what makes the this HUD mod so awesome. Is that we can get all this stuff on the screen right in front of our faces at the same time. And I've turned on fine controls, although you can't see it. I've turned off the main GUI of the game simply because it's easier to control this way. And I'm not watching the fact that it looks like we've passed it now by looking at the actual ships, but I'm ignoring that, and I'm just watching the HUD. And I'm following it in. So we come right up on it, and we've docked. Sweet. Okay, now we are going to... oh, I'm like, why can't I see my HUD here? Yeah, we've got... This is full of fuel. This has a little bit of fuel in it. We are going to dump all this fuel into here. And then we are going to dump all this fuel into here. Now, we have no need of monoprop in the main ship, I just realized, and there is monoprop in it. So we are going to transfer this monoprop into here. At least some of it. Or all of it. And then now this ship only has monoprop on it. We are going to undock these guys. We're actually at periapsis. This is the worst time to do this. I'm going to actually set an apoapsis alarm. Okay, well, at apoapsis was not an option because that was in the dark. So I waited until the sunrise here. And now we are making sure we're burning retrograde, which should be the N key. It is. And we're just burning here. I want my periapsis to be below 70, basically. And it looks like we have plenty of monoprop to do that, which is awesome. There's a base. I've actually launched a plane from there, and I flew around the crater just for fun before my game crashed. And of course, we get to recover most of the expensive stuff, which is pretty freaking awesome. And the game crashed, so I had to go into the other mode here. Looks like we got 62%, no crew, obviously. Now, what is next? 3 to LKO, 38 minutes. Let's go ahead and do him. This is him docking with the ship. And actually, I was wrong. This is not the connection to the ship. This is the maneuver node that's going to get me the connection to the ship. It's a very small 28 meter per second burn, so I'm going right down to the wire here. So we can have our solar panels in the sun long enough. And cut it. So now we need to change our direction. So that we're basically heading towards it. Now, we only have 45 meters per second left. So you three are going to have to, sadly, do this manually, which is going to kind of suck. So we are going to kill... You know what we're going to do? We're going to kill our relative velocity right now. And we're going to leave this thing out here. Bill... Actually, Jeb should be the first one to do this. Jeb, you're going EVA. You are hopping out. You are... First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to stop our velocity relative to the target. What I'm doing is I'm firing up and away. I'm doing the same thing with this guy. I'm thrusting up and away. Waiting for this to really react a lot to it. And then Bill's going to do the same thing. And what I'm doing here is I'm getting these guys in a similar orbit to the thing all at once, all at the same time, so that we can do it. We can actually dock with this thing at our leisure here. Because once we start passing it and getting really far away, it's going to be a big pain. Okay, there. He's basically still in relation to it. So now we're going to go towards it. There's the base. There's Jeb over there, a kilometer away. Now, Bill's just going to get in the... actually, it's over here. Go ahead and turn your lights on. He's going to get in the habitat here. Because Jeb is the pilot, obviously. These guys are just along for the ride. Although they're critically important parts of the base. Okay, now. This is Jeb. Jeb is moving away from the base, so let's get him going towards it. I imagine Jeb is talking the other guys through. That's why he's taking so much time himself to do it. Okay, we got one guy to go. Go ahead and get in there. Now the 3 guys are where they need to be, and we do not have enough fuel to actually get them to the moon and landed, which means we're going to have to dock the other fuel ship, obviously. And this guy is a little bit better than the other guy. He has batteries, first of all. He also has, instead of the, let's see, close the alarm. Yeah, we don't need that anymore. Also, instead of the ion engine, I think I put this reaction wheel here. Yeah, I put this reaction wheel so he can actually use his reaction wheel. He's not using his monoprop to do all this stuff. Okay, 0.4 meters per second. Everything is basically lined up. There we go. Now everything's lined up. Let's turn on fine-tune mode and just come on in for a nice, easy dock. It should dock all on its own. Let's actually turn everything off. Doink! Nicely done. Okay, you dump your fuel. And he still has plenty of fuel in him. So now what we're going to do is we're going to leave this thing connected to the thing. We're actually going to decouple this. And then when we switch to this guy now, he's going to use his monoprop to again burn retrograde. And we're going to again do that ideally at apoapsis. And see, we're leaving this fuel tank attached to this guy because we're actually going to bring up a third fuel tank. We're going to attach it to this guy. Then we're going to balance these guys out. This is going to be full. This fuel's going to get him to moon, and the fuel that in these 2 tanks is going to get him to moon, and then the fuel in these tanks here is going to land him on moon. I don't know what it is about this area, but it seems like we're always coming in over here. Okay, I wonder what will survive of this ship. It was kind of cool that we got a lot of the other ship back. It would be nice if, like, maybe the engine and the fuel tank here blew up and then the rest of this survived. I seriously doubt it, though. This doesn't have the other fuel tank up here to protect it. Again, aiming him to ideally take the brunt of the blast here with the fuel tank. And what survived? The probe core survived. That works for me. And we recovered 900 and some odd. Who cares about them? So I need to launch one more fuel tank, so I will be back after he is docked with the station. Okay, we are back. We need to do some quick stuff here. We need to go out from this guy into these guys here. What I want to do is I want the least amount of fuel in these guys as possible, but I want them to be balanced. So now we can go stop and stop. And then in, and it's going to pull from both of them because of the new balancing feature in 0.90, which I am a fan of. Now, we have 38 seconds before, 3 minutes before our burn to the moon. Now, this has been a fairly storied run here. You notice there's a satellite up here. This satellite has one antenna here and not one here. Well, that's because when I put these on with symmetry, it was so we could bring one up and put it on here because I realized this base doesn't have a antenna on it, which is kind of scary. However, it does now, so everything is fine. All we need to do is the burn to moon using these 2 thrusters, and it's going to be 838 meters per second. I really have no idea how much that is compared to how much we have or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure we should be able to get to moon and get into orbit around it with these fuel tanks, and then dump these either into a an orbit that will intersect Moon and get flung out of the system, or actually crash them into Moon. Okay, 3 minutes and 10 seconds, so we want to go down to 1 minute and 35 seconds. Or 1 minute and 30, whatever, who cares. Okay, obviously we have a very good orbit here. We're coming in under 20, or around 20 kilometers. The game doesn't realize it though, so I'm gonna add a sphere of influence change alarm manually here, so that we automatically get this thing. We don't have to worry about it. Also, this guy used up most of the fuel in these guys. I actually transferred some midway through here. Let's go ahead and transfer it again. I've found that if you let them all transfer in and then this thing fills up while they're transferring in, it kind of screws things up. We still got a little bit of fuel in here. It should be enough to get us into orbit around Moon, which is pretty much perfect because I know that there's enough fuel in this guy to land the entire base from orbit. Yeah, I also reinstalled some things. I'm pretty sure one of these colors is carbonite and the other color is ore. No, that turns on ore. So this is the ore map, and then this is the carbonite map. So I'm not sure exactly what this is showing me. I mean, it's got white here. I'm still planning on landing this guy maybe here. This looks pretty good. Set it to 4. Yeah, anywhere in here is fine, really. Yeah, I think this right here is our goal. Once we get into orbit, we're going to come in, we're going to burn this guy into orbit, we're going to get him over this area, and we're just going to land him ideally right on this red spot right here. But that's not now. That's after we've done this satellite. And the reason for this satellite is because we don't have a satellite around Minmus yet. So I figured, hey, why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone? We needed to get an antenna up to this guy, and we want to get a satellite around Minmus. First of all, because we have put a satellite around Minmus contract, and secondly, because we want to be able to do any quick get science around Minmus contracts. So we set this guy up here. He's got his solar panels. He's got a thermometer, and that was too much. There we go. Now, if you look here, here's the orbit we want to hit, and we've already gone too far over it. We want to basically, we're coming in here and we're going to escape here. So what we want to do is we want this here to be touching this. So I'm going to do a very tiny burn, and that's what you get when you don't thrust limit your engines when you really should. Even thrust limited, I cannot make this good. If you look, this is basically touching everything. So from here, if I just do a burn like this, and then we can get this and then do that. It's 250 meters per second, which is a tiny amount. We're just going to get aimed at it and leave him alone. Now let's go ahead and do the carbonite base. So we're gonna do this next episode. The carbonite base we're gonna land to finish this episode off, and we're gonna do that now. Let's go ahead and get this guy into orbit around Moon. Nicely done. Okay, now, Jeb, hold your position retrograde. That's what we want. And what we want to do is, when we get retrograde here, seriously, let's focus view on the Moon. When we get retrograde right here, we are going to burn ourselves into a orbit. This is going to be basically perfect, and I think we're going to go a little bit farther just to be sure. See, that's why I wanted to burn farther south, because I knew Moon was going to rotate and bring this over this way significantly enough that we would care. And by dragging these fuel things into this orbit, I am committing to carrying them at least until the point where we can crash them into the ground. They're not that heavy, so I'm not that concerned. And I'm actually burning a little bit farther than it said to, simply because I want to get the apoapsis down a little bit farther than it is. Okay, now we're a little bit south, but that's okay. Right at sunrise here, which is going to be right about here, I'm going to burn retrograde. Probably not that far, though. About here. I think it's about time we turn on the trajectories mod here. which is telling us that if we do this burn, we're going to land right there. So we're going to do it like this. Or actually, yeah, you know what? We are going to do it like this because we want to overshoot because we're going to have to slow down when we get here. So now we've got that maneuver node planned. Now we need to refill up this tank. And as I suspected, we are going to be carrying these things, but all we got to do is this little burn here, this 25 meter per second burn, and then we can dump these things. And then they'll crash into the moon. And done. Now we don't need the maneuver node anymore. I think I'm going to burn a little bit more, just to bring it a little bit farther in here. And now we can dump these fuel tanks. And then they're going to crash into the surface. Give it a little bit of a thrust so that they clear us and we don't have to worry about anything like that. Okay. 573 meters per second is a 2 minute and 24 second burn, which is a little bit crazy. That means that we are going to have to start burning about a minute and a half ahead of time. Oh, we got the markers on the map, which is kind of cool. Like on the GUI. That's a little bit crazy, to be honest. We also want to flip this ship around so that up is up on the nav ball. That's the way I always land. That's the way I need it to be. Okay, we can also lower our landing gear, and I am going to drop a quick save. Because I'm terrified that I'm going to do this wrong. Let's also burn ourselves a little bit north. I want to get my trajectory. Oh, God, that scared me. I want to get my trajectory right over this red area here. So that we're coming down right over it. So we got the fattest part of it to land on. It's now saying actually a minute and 24 seconds, which makes me a lot happier. That means we can go down to about 45 seconds before. Yeah, I'm going to hit the gas now. The red only shows up if you're far away from it. We're in the zone right now, though, so as long as we slow down, ideally I'd like to land right in this plane here. I doubt we're going to, though, to be honest. This crater is in the zone of the big stuff, but we can't be on the far side of it, but I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. Because it looks like we are going to be landing on this flat plane, which is, in my opinion, absolutely awesome. So we're just going to cut our horizontal velocity here by watching the nav ball, or the HUD here. As soon as this gets over the top, X, perfect. Now let's bring it up. Kind of wish I had RCS, but I don't think we need to worry about it. Now we're going to say, Jeb, aim yourself retrograde. We're going to slow our velocity down to about 20 meters per second here. We got plenty of fuel. I over-engineered this ship because I did not want to kill Jeb, Bob, or Bill. Now, I'm mostly watching our impact time now. The slope seems kind of high at 7.2 meters per second, but we can land this thing very slowly, so I'm not that concerned. When this gets to 10, I'm going to hit the gas again. When it gets to 15, I'm going to cut the gas. Okay. And then when it gets down to 5, I'm going to hit the gas. Gets to 10, I'm going to cut the gas. There we go. Now I'm going to bring up my vertical velocity control, and I'm going to zero my velocity and then make it -1. So now we're coming down at 1 meter per second. Slow, basically. And Jeb is holding us retrograde, but he's getting confused, so I'm actually going to make it 2 meters per second, so it's going a little bit faster. I'm actually going to say, Jeb, hold stability. We're going to zero our velocity right here. This looks extremely good as far as a location is concerned. That is basically awesome. We are sideways down the slope, which is perfect. So now we don't need this ship anymore, and it doesn't need us. We are going to transfer most of the fuel into this. Except for that amount. Then We are going to control from here. And then we are going to decouple this. And I hope we didn't just destroy the base. Looks like we didn't. A little bit less fuel than I thought he was going to have, but oh well. And there's debris on the surface, but who cares about that? Okay, guys. Now we're going to hit the backspace key to initiate our abort sequence, which doesn't actually abort. It opens the solar panels, which I think is pretty freaking cool. Okay, now let's go ahead and deploy this drill. Don't need the HUD anymore. Now the drill is going. We need to drill for start carbonite drill. We've got 100% load. Our carbonite is 3%. The amount of carbonite in our tanks is going up, which is awesome. Now we are going to kick on the converter. We are going to start LFO conversion. And if you look here, our liquid fuel and oxygen are not going up. Our carbonite is still going up, but our liquid fuel and oxygen are not, because I put this thing on backwards. We have a fix for that. Engineer. I think Bill is the engineer. I honestly don't remember who's the engineer and who's the scientist. Does it tell you when you do this? No. Okay, go ahead. We have a fix. We have a way around this thing here. Okay, grab this. Go ahead and get on this thing. Let's go ahead and attach this here. And then link this one to this one. And then say pump here. Now, that would normally pump out of here into here, except for the rules for carbonite, or for fuel, always go from the tanks to the thing. So if we jump to our base, we should see this stuff is not going up still. Why is it not going up? Stop pumping. Let's try pumping from here, even though it shouldn't actually do anything. Okay, now it's working. That's fine by me. As long as it works, I don't care. Okay, we are officially pumping carbonite out of this thing into here. Or, sorry, liquid fuel out of this thing into here. We are drilling carbonite, and here's the beauty of this. This will work even when it's not in focus. So by the time we get back to this guy, the carbonite tank should be filled and the fuel tanks should be filled, which is awesome. But guess what? We're done. We have succeeded in landing this thing on the moon. Next episode, let me show you what we're going to do here. Next episode, we got this. We got surface outpost on the moon has been completed. We need to extract carbonite from the moon and deliver it to Kerbin. That's 450 fresh units. That's not very much, really, when it comes down to it. These tanks hold 1450. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to bring a ship to the moon, land it at this base, attach it to this guy, and gather 450 units of carbonite and bring it home. Also, at some point, this Minmus satellite in 10 days is going to get to Minmus. We're going to do this, put him in orbit, and we're also going to get that data from him. Then we're going to start thinking about Duna. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I definitely enjoyed playing it. I am Fifth Horseman, and I will, oops, as always, talk at you later.